Trying to make sure this mic isn't flying towards my face.
I was gonna say, it has a mind of its own.
Um,
Whipping around.
but yeah, no, man. First of all, I appreciate you coming down here and being able to do this before you're about to
10-minute drive
the
down. Yeah.
solid 10-minute drive. I had to fly out here. It was a lot to be able to get here, actually.
Yeah.
So glad to be able to do that. But yeah, man, you're about to head into the lock-in Brazil tournament. Just like how the past couple months been for you personally.
Personally,
Yeah, just
I'd say a little roller coaster. Obviously, I had to move out. Away from family, friends, girlfriend. It was a bittersweet kind of few months. I think I've finally achieved a level where I want to be at. Right. Obviously, franchise league. I'm able to play and pay rent and do things on my own. Um, but obviously, yeah, family and friends gone. Um, but I don't know. It's what I've been working towards. So I've been enjoying it. It's been a good few months.
yeah, for sure. This is definitely like the most professional situation you've kind of found yourself in, right? Like being with 100 Thieves, going into the compound every day, that kind of
Going into
that kind of
work, yeah, I got the
situation. Yeah,
nine to
going
five
into
now.
work.
Well, I mean, not well for gaming, yeah, because I used to work. When I got out of school, I worked for 3 years. When I was on Luminosity, I was working.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, yeah, for at least the first like half of it, up
Gotcha.
until the January 2021. I was working. I was doing
Damn.
software development work at the same time. LG just was not paying the bills that I needed them to be paying up until
Yeah.
then. Thank God they, raised it a little bit,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was doing a lot of that. But yeah, gaming wise, yeah, first professional, I guess job for
For
the most part.
sure. For sure. What was it like then when you got that offer coming through from 100 Thieves?
Ah, man, it was surreal, right? I saw the message from like seangares. I saw his DM on my phone, and I showed my girlfriend. I showed like a few of my friends. I was like, I don't know, like obviously I didn't want to get my hopes up too much because like I hate doing that because like it's happened to me a few times in CS where like things like could have happened.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, I was like super like hopeful about it, and then they just all fell through. Um, but then this time I was kind of like cautious. But I was pretty excited when I saw it. I like kind of expected something to happen, but then I was like, you know, we'll see. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you guys found success pretty quickly in this past year, I think, but also
Yeah.
it was like a consistent growth throughout the year where, um, it kind of maybe culminated with the win at Red Bull, but previous to that, it was like making it through the LCQ, going to champions, um, and then now where we're at, heading into Brazil. You guys have made some changes and some big decisions in the months leading up to this franchise league actually kicking off. Um, One of the first ones being Will, who's the primary duelist for your team for all of that 2022 run.
Hmm.
Um, you guys had decided to move forward without him after champions. What is kind of the decision making process behind a move like that? Um, and how does that affect you as like an IGL and a leader of the team?
Yeah. Decision wise, I wouldn't necessarily say it was like my choice or any of the players' choices necessarily. Um, I guess we did have opinions on it, but I don't think they really affected any decision that was made ultimately. Um, so that's all I will really say about that. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. But definitely with a player like Will and the Cryo, they play way different. So like you have to kind of think about, now how can you set up Cryo or like what are his tendencies? How does he like to play? Because it changes the way everyone kind of plays. Because Will was a little bit more, um, I feel like he's a little bit better on the fly than Cryo is now. I'm not saying he's bad at it, but like I think that kind of led to some of our success at LCQ, which was like a lot of people saying we like thrived in like the chaos and we were like really good at like just in really chaotic situations, which I credit Will a lot for that and just the things that he was able to do in those spots and then us being able to play off of him. Um, but now it's a little bit different, right? And now we have to play a little bit differently, with Cryo, and, he plays a little bit different on every other agent, um, and that's, just 2 different players.
Yeah, definitely. Was it hard for you and the other guys on the team to have to like say goodbye to Will, move on from that, given how much progress y'all had made together?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I mean, I think we kind of I mean, I didn't even know if I was on the team for, like, a long time. To be
Mm,
honest, I would assume, like, if anything was gonna happen, I thought, like, Will and I may have been gone for the most part, because I mean, I don't know, like, the public opinion, right? Um, and I wasn't playing amazing. He actually played really good at champs, so I was, like, a little bit surprised, but, yeah, I mean, I think, we all had really, like, a good friendship, let alone, like, just being teammates. I think everybody was, like, really good friends, so it was definitely tough to kind of see him go and, wish him luck, and, luckily he found his way onto a team now, so I'm proud of him, proud of what he's doing. Um,
yeah, for sure.
Luckily, we're good friends with Cryo, like, beforehand, at least I, like, knew him before. He's the same kind of age group, so he fits in really well. So it wasn't, too drastic of a switch where we're picking up, like, maybe someone that's, like, completely different personality-wise, or, like, too shy or, like, too nervous to, you know luckily, we're in a good spot.
Right. And then shortly after that as well, Sean stepped down, was just no longer with the team. I'm not sure if the details there.
Yeah, he stepped down.
Okay. Yeah, so Sean decided to step down, and from the outside perspective, it seemed like he was massively influential on the team. But could you kind of uh, speak to that, like what the impact he had on the team was, and also just what the impact he had on you was, given that he's like the veteran in the role that you were occupying for the squad.
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, he was kinda like the father figure of the team, I think, just based off of experience and stature and, status that he had just from CS:GO alone. Obviously, I looked up to him a lot. I think everybody on our team did, um, which was, a good thing. We all respected him greatly. Um, but obviously he had family to take care of. He has kids. Like, we can't, like, force him to stay when
Yeah,
he was away from his kids for, like, 3 months at boot camp. Like,
yeah,
obviously that's tough. But yeah, he definitely had, I think what we were doing when he was on the team was very heavily what he kind of influenced us to be doing. We were very strat book kind of heavy, which was kind of his ideology for the game for the most part. And I didn't necessarily agree with all of that. So I think it was a little bit clashing, in terms of how I thought about the game and how he thought about the game. Not on everything, but about, some important aspects. It felt like a lot of the rounds we were kind of just running plays out of a strat book, like, instantly, like, always. And I didn't think that's how the game should really be played. So I feel like I was a little uncomfortable. Maybe some other people were, but, worked up until it didn't. Like,
sure.
uh, so I have to credit him for that. I think he taught me a lot of things, just really, really small stuff in terms of, like, handling players and attitudes and other things. Yeah, I don't know. I would credit a lot of the growth from our team, especially, like, individually, to him.
Yeah. What are those kind of things you're talking about, like the little things with player attitude and relationships? What did he teach you with that?
Um, just how to handle, like, talking to people. Like, I'm one to get frustrated, like, when I know people could be doing better. But, like, he taught me how to, like, kind of, think about things from a different perspective when I do get frustrated.
Yeah.
So that was something that I think helped me a lot. Um, didn't, like, fix the problem. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I have a team full of, like, idiots sometimes. like,
Yeah.
like they just do stupid shit all the time, and I'm just like, what are we doing?
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Like you're talking about, before the cameras went live, just being the adult of the team, picking up all the kids, bringing them
yeah,
to
yeah.
soccer
The
practice in the
mom,
car.
mom of the team.
Yeah.
And then Derek's like the second mom almost. He's barely younger than me.
Yeah.
A two-mom team. Yeah. But,
Oh yeah.
yeah. seangares, great guy.
So what are the positive attributes then that Mike is bringing to the team with his like promotion to head coach. What you were talking about with not always necessarily seeing eye to eye on how the game should be played with Sean, is that something where you and Mike are more similar in your vision?
Yeah, I would say he's a bit more open-minded. I think Sean was pretty stern on his opinions. I think he was open to listen to other people, but I think he was pretty, like, very stern when
Yeah,
it came to how he thought about things. And Mike is, he has a lot of good values that I see and we agree on, but things that we disagree on or other people disagree on, he's always open, and it's always an open discussion with them. And it's usually a team, like usually, not always, but it's usually a team consensus when we have a lot of disagreements, which is pretty rare, but it'll always end in like a team kind of discussion, and then we'll just go from there. And that's what he's been really good at.
yeah, that makes sense. Like Mike definitely seems like more of a uh, just less prone, I guess, to get overly emotional or very excited. I think he, at least it seems like on the outside, he's someone that would definitely just kind of
Yeah,
keep a level head no matter what the situation is.
he
His
will not.
disposition is
Yeah,
he's the stoic male.
refuses to show any emotion at any time. Like I know a lot of people say I do that, but like trust me, like Mike is like that person. He's like a rock, like a
Yeah,
pillar. He just won't change. But
yeah. Do you think that kind of rubs off on the team, his attitude in that way, or not at all?
not at all. I think it makes people want to like troll him more. Like actually, I think like Peter like will just troll the living hell out of him
Just try and get
just
him to
for fun.
crack,
Yeah,
to break.
like Mike will
That's
be
funny.
dead serious about something, and Peter will just like not take or like refuse to take it seriously. And like we know Michael is probably mad at it, but like he'll just keep doing it. It's which isn't good, but
No, that
it's
isn't good,
funny.
but I
It's
can
pretty
yeah,
funny.
I can get behind
Yeah.
some good trolling of Mike. And then after that coaching swap was made, that was then around the time that the team announced Cryo was coming in to replace Will. I'd seen as well like Nate Shot had said that y'all wanted Cryo over Ye, who was also available on the market on the time, who at the time was absolutely considered the best player in the game. Um, I guess what are your thoughts on as to why that decision was made, and also I guess just your actual personal experience with Cryo, given that you were both playing together on SoaR for a while.
Mhm.
Was that part of the? I'm sure it was, but I guess to what part of the equation was that in making the decision?
Um, I mean, I don't personally, they didn't tell me a lot about of the, I guess, selection process. Personally, I don't even think Ye wanted to play with our team, to be honest. Like, I really don't think he wanted to.
Yeah,
I'm assuming he would have been keeping a lot of options open, as any player would. Um, and I think Krause is just a solid choice, and he actually wanted to come play, and so we just chose him. I could be completely wrong as well. I have no idea, but
okay. So
that's my fair as a player. That's my guess. That's my fair guess.
that was a bit more of the higher ups decision
Yes, they
on that
kept it
front.
very
Okay,
behind closed doors, and
okay.
that's fine.
Yeah. So I imagine then your reaction to just being told, "Hey, Cryo is your new teammate," was received pretty positively.
I was just like, huh, okay. And then I was like, am I still here? Like, I didn't know yet
Yeah.
because I
So
know there was
were you
like
genuinely you were concerned in the off season that you were not in a
a
stable
little
position?
bit just because I mean, there's only like two, like FNS was on the market at the time.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, okay, if they want to make like a three, maybe even like a three-man replacement, like, they could. I can't do anything about that. Like, they're
Sure.
the most winning NA team and players for the last 2 years. So,
Yeah.
well, for the year. Um, but that was it. I mean, it kind of as knew that FNS was going to like NRG for a while. I was like, okay, I should be fine, but like, just in case, like, I'll still be a little worried.
Yeah. Like during that time period, are you still is the team actively practicing? Like are you okay, so you're just kind of
Yeah, literally,
forced to sit and wait.
we're all doing our own thing. We're just waiting, kind of sitting, waiting,
Yeah.
playing the game on our own time, streaming if we're doing that.
Yeah.
Because this was like right after champs. For the whole it was like a month or like a month and a half almost. Where it's like there's almost no like we weren't even like talking in our group chat. Like that's how like quiet it was.
Sam, was that just because there was kind of like an air of anxiety around the situation, not necessarily feeling like you guys were in full control?
A little bit. I think it's also like people were doing their own thing. Like
Okay.
just
Just
take
taking a
time off
break.
away from
Yeah.
team stuff, game stuff, and that's like yeah. I like we didn't need to really talk about anything. If you wanted to talk to someone, like we just message each other on like Discord or something or
Yeah.
wherever. Um, yeah, I think it just like because we didn't know where the team was gonna go, and we kind of knew it wasn't fully really in our hands. So
Sure.
that definitely played a part.
Did you ever receive like a "Hey, you're still on the team, don't stress" kind of message, or was it
Yeah,
just
it
like
was from
it
Mike,
was like, "Hey,
but
we're getting back to work"?
it was like yeah, Mike said it after a while to me, where he was like, piece of like he said you're most likely still on the team. I was like, bro, I was like, what?
Yeah. Stop teasing
I
me,
was like,
Mike.
that's good. He said it would be really rare if anything was to happen, like going forward. And I was like, okay, that made me feel better.
Yeah. Gotcha. Um, yeah, and then after that, all those moves have been made. The next tournament y'all ended up playing in was the Red Bull Homeground tournament in the UK. Um, you guys take down the tournament. I think you had a great performance individually. Do you think that was that possibly your best tournament since joining 100 Thieves?
Um, Maybe either that or the Copenhagen group stage I played pretty well in.
Yeah.
In the qualifier for that. Didn't play great in the playoffs, but I played pretty good in the group stage.
Do you what do you feel is the difference um for you when you're playing a tournament that makes a great tournament for you individually versus one where you're struggling?
I just get to play the way I like to play. Like, I think we moved to a system where it's like I like liked how we were playing and I knew exactly what we were doing and it was a lot of how I personally like to set our team up
Hmm.
and do things and that helps me get put into spots where I can, play better, right?
Yeah.
But before, like I was saying with Sean, we were playing in a way where it was pretty systematic, not super loose. Um, I wasn't really putting myself in the spots where like I could succeed for myself, which sounds greedy, but I mean at the end of the day, we're talking about personal performance.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, I get to do that, so
Yeah. So just
I'm
kind
just
of
playing better.
building the game plan yourself to some
I
extent,
wouldn't say
playing it
around me,
not
but
around you, but you
I'm
feel more comfortable in your
yeah,
role within
yeah.
the
Like
plan.
I see
Yeah.
more opportunities to where I could play the way I like to play.
Yeah. Definitely. That makes sense. How how then after that tournament win, there's a few month break. You're heading into lock in the first tournament of the franchise league. Um, how do you kind of mentally prepare yourself for these big events, especially in comparison to a lot of the events that you've been playing for your entire career? Because you've been competing for like 7, 8 years if you count
Like 7, yeah,
CS. Yeah.
yeah.
So like how do you mentally prepare yourself for tournaments of this magnitude, and what's kind of the difference between something like lock-in and previous ones you've played?
I try to treat them the same, right? I think if we're practicing every day and we're working towards good goals, I feel like it's more about feeling prepared or like not, right? Because like there's no way to mentally, um, I guess like stabilize if you're not prepared and you know you're not prepared. But if you know your team's been preparing and you're well equipped, then there's not that much like to really worry about, right? And that's kind of the way I like to try to treat it. Obviously, I'll get stage anxiety. I think everybody still does. Like, there's no human that's like a robot. Like,
Yeah.
like Jimzo, ice cold, isn't like like I'm sure he's still a little anxious before he plays. It's natural, but yeah. I mean, as soon as like the first game's over, like I'm good to go. I think it's like a first game thing for me, and then after that, it's fine. I'll be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever played in front of like a crowd anywhere near this?
I haven't played in
size?
front of a crowd. Well, I guess
Red
if you
Bull?
count Red Bull, yeah. Red Bull
Yeah.
is like 100, 200 people maybe. Um, so no, I haven't really played in front of a crowd before.
Do you feel like the weight of that will affect you in any way, or do you
No,
feel like it's just
no,
part
I'm
of the
like,
experience?
if anything, I'm more excited to be in front of a crowd. Like that's part of the reason why I'm even playing to begin with, which is like kind of crazy
Mm.
to think about because I remember watching what was it, 2014 DreamHack Winter, I think.
Yeah.
And I was watching, I don't know, probably like at the time like Envy or something, and I was seeing all the people watching them and they're going crazy over stuff, and that's where I want to be. I
Yeah.
was like, I want to do that. And then, I finally might have an opportunity this year to do it. So that's, I'm happy. I'm happy to be playing in front of people.
Yeah. Is that something you've been reflecting on personally? How far you've come in this career and in like this competitive field? That just thinking back to the times back then and what you were.
No, not. I mean, not not too much. I don't really think back too much. Not until I've achieved what I want to achieve. Right.
Mm.
Um, Personally, I don't think I've even come close to winning anything that's even like major yet.
Yeah.
And until I start doing that, then I won't be satisfied. I won't even look back. I'll just keep grinding until I can't.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, yeah, that's because so like you said, you've been playing for 7, 8 years
Yeah.
in CS, or sorry, not just
Well,
CS,
collectively,
yeah,
yeah.
collectively in CS and Valorant. How how did you kind of persevere through all of that? What is it like within you or that you've experienced that has just made you this person that decided to go through
Just like
all of that?
mental illness. No, I don't know. I don't know. I just I'm very competitive by nature, and I think growing up I wanted to play like any other American person, like sports. Like growing up, like just like a natural dream for a lot
Yeah.
of American children. Um, but as soon as I stopped playing sports, I got into Counter Strike in college. But I knew I couldn't just like drop college to play sports. Like it wasn't even like I was a thought in my head at the time. Um, but I found something I finally kind of loved and could grind all day. And something that felt like it was almost like an addiction. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't not play it at the time. And that's kind of when I knew it's like what I wanted to be doing. And then especially after I graduated, when I started working, I was miserable. I was so miserable at work. Um, but luckily I just kept, I went home, kept playing. I mean, towards the tail end of my CS career, I thought I'd have to work all the time again, but luckily Valorant was coming out and I was like, okay. I actually didn't like Valorant when the game was in beta. I hated the game. I was pretty depressed because I was like, I might be able to switch, and then I tried it, and then I was like, damn, this game sucks. And
Yeah.
then when it came out, Thief, which is my former teammate,
Yep.
Grady, he was like, "You should just switch. Like, you don't even like playing Counter Strike." I wasn't even playing CS. I mean, I was, but like, I wasn't really playing at all. He was like, "You should just swap and try it, and just play." He's like, "Just get on and play, literally every day." And then I slowly started liking the game more. Luckily, Physic asked me to come play with his team.
Yep.
Lucas.
Yep.
And then from there, yeah, that's how that started.
Yeah. So where so sorry, where were you at then in your life when this like whole journey began when you first started competing?
I was 19. Um, I got my first PC at 19. I bought
Really?
one. Yeah, I bought one at 19. I was heading into sophomore year of college. I got into Counter Strike like on a laptop when I was a freshman in college.
Were
And
you
the
playing with
only
a trackpad or did you at
well, I had
least
a mouse and
you had a
keyboard.
little $20
Yeah.
mouse for,
Well, no, I
from
mean,
Best
I
Buy?
had like Death Adder,
Okay,
the
all right.
classic.
Yep, had
I
to have a Death
played
Adder back then.
well, I played like WoW and I played League on my laptop, right?
Yeah.
And so like that's it. That's all I had in terms of like any sort of gaming experience on like mouse and keyboard was like only those games.
Yeah. So you were just playing like pure casual previous
Yeah,
to then just other
casual. I would
games.
say. I mean, I was into like COD competitive stuff. I didn't like kind of aspire to, like, do that, but I had fun, like, doing a few things, like, here and there, like the
Yeah.
game battle stuff and, um, but no, in terms of, like, PC stuff, I started at, like, 19.
Do you feel like in your time in CS, do you feel like you were undervalued or underrated or didn't get a shot, or do you think maybe with more hindsight that you just weren't ready?
I think there's only, like, maybe once or twice in my whole career where I could have had maybe one or two, like, opportunities that I didn't get. Um, Other than that, I don't know. I mean, I definitely think I could have been good enough. Um, but I feel like there's just people that were better than me at the end of the day. I think at my best, when I was playing my best, I feel like I could have gotten onto, like, a team maybe like Ghost or like United. And I think I could have had one opportunity to join a United, and that kind of fell through. Um, when I was in my, I don't know, like fourth season, third season of MDL
Yeah,
or like Premier, whatever they call it now. They've been back and forth. Um, I mean, I don't know. I would say underrated is a good word, but then like if you compare me to like the best pros, like I was not good at all.
sure.
Like Breeze, Cirque, Ethan, like they're all disgusting at the game, sick. Like they're all way better. So
Yeah. So how do you, I guess, how would you kind of sum up your time in CS then in its totality?
um I would say I'd say I became a solid player that could have been maybe like a bottom tier actual professional player. And that's it.
Okay. And I mean, and then also like, what did I think also more like
Oh, just like personally.
personally, how would you sum up that time? And I imagine as well being in like the tier two, you were balancing the entire time, whether that be with school or
Yeah, I
work,
was in
whatever. I
school. I
mean,
was
you
in
were
school
just
and work the whole time.
yeah. I mean that's
But I
a
wouldn't
crazy undertaking.
I would do it again.
Yeah,
100%. I would 100% do it again. I think um I'd take the same decisions. I'd play the same amount of hours, at least initially. Um I mean, it was fun. I mean, like I had fun doing it, and luckily that experience transferred over to what I have now. So, paid off in the end.
yeah. I mean, did you have times, whether it be in CS really or in Valorant at different periods, where you felt like your place in life just wasn't necessarily optimal to be competing with a lot of the younger guys? Because that is pretty, like you saying that you got your first PC at 19 and getting into games, and like that is just so much later than 99% of these pro players are doing. I mean, it's, it's kids that are playing when you're super young.
Yeah.
And I think something that happens really often, kind of, like I think this is what Marv was saying, why he retired as well. And I think a lot of people experience it when they're starting to like get into their 20s, is that it's tough to be dedicated to playing games all the time, to be inside playing games all the time, trying to balance that with the life responsibilities that you're starting to have as a young adult, and also the other things that you want to enjoy as a human.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm literally wasting my prime years of life to play this
is
game.
that how
Like
you
that's
felt in the moment?
yeah, that's I mean, like I still feel that from time to time. I mean, now not so much cuz like I
Yeah,
paid off. Um but I still think even though I'm like taking so much time away from doing maybe other things or enjoying other things in life. Um I remember I was working with my dad in between jobs at like this it was like a cabinets company. I was designing cabinets. Miserable.
yeah,
And I quit and I told him I'd rather be making zero money, like $0 and playing and grinding the game and doing what I enjoy than sitting at one more minute in that store and doing anything to make money.
yeah. What was your dad's response to that?
He's supportive, so he just let me go.
That's pretty cool.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I cried in my car.
Really?
Yeah.
Just
That was
at the
probably
feeling of freedom?
no, just I mean, a little bit, but also just because it was, like, the low point, I think, of my life. This was, like, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
This was recent.
So
In
what
terms of years, this was,
what was okay, yeah, explain, I guess, what was happening at the time, like, with your career and
yeah, this was what, 2019 or 2020? I think I'm trying to think. It was before I got signed to LG. I think it was almost right before Valorant came out, and it was when I was quitting CS at the same time, and, like, I stopped playing.
yeah,
Um, and I was in between jobs. I didn't have my job anymore. It was still pretty hard to find jobs at the time, because I wasn't a great student. So, like, and I didn't do anything on the side. So people, stay in school,
yeah,
kids, um, and do good. But yeah, and then my dad was like, "You need to be making some form of money," and he told me I could go work for him. And then I saw the money I was making, and I was like, I don't want to just sit here and like I'd rather literally be doing like nothing for money than be sitting there, or not nothing, but like I'd rather be trying to achieve something I actually like for nothing than just earn however much money on the
yeah,
side.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
And that
absolutely.
was 20. When did Valorant come out? 2019.
I mean, I had the exact same experience of you at really, like, the exact same period of time.
Yeah,
I was, working in marketing and sales at a medical devices
yeah,
company,
it's not fun.
and I was not enjoying my life, um, and I had the opportunity to move to LA at the time to live with, like, Bren and Custa and Jake and a bunch of the
Yeah,
guys from the Overwatch League,
yeah,
um, and I was just, "Yep, get me out," and I just gave my 2
yeah,
weeks, left, had no plan, and then Valorant just kinda became, for me, the thing moving forward because it just happened at the time, and that was also when I was, um previously, I was running my org Ascent, where I had
oh
Physics
really?
signed and, like, Nismo and those guys, and so when Valorant was coming out, I was just
Yeah,
see
those years.
Yep, and so
Wait, I didn't know that.
yeah, that was my yes,
That's crazy.
yeah,
What
that was my org with all those guys,
yeah,
and, so when Valorant came out, I was just, like, watching just because all the guys that I had been, like, watching all the time, I was watching all the Tier 2 CS games,
yeah,
all moved over, so then I just kinda ended up falling into it, which, funny enough, also, I will say at the beginning, I did not like the game either. It
no,
took me a bit to grow into it. Once it started coming around that, like, Ignition series, like Sentinels TSM rivalry era,
yeah, yeah.
that's when I started getting invested in it, but what was the turning point for you where you decided to really focus your energy on Valorant?
It's um, it's literally when Physic asked me to play first team. It was like that was it.
Yeah,
And I knew I wasn't doing really anything. Um, I forget if I was still looking for a job or if I already just got one at the time, but I did get one either shortly after or right around that time. Another, I, it was an okay job. I was a SharePoint developer for a um insurance company in the same
it's a
building I used to work at too, which is
thrilling
kind of funny.
endeavor.
Yeah, crazy. But that was it. I mean, like he told me to just come play and try it out,
Yeah,
and I knew Brady Thief was telling me to just switch because he was playing with what was his team was like fucking wild. He had like Strong Legs Shanks Marved on his team, and like him and like
a
someone else.
nasty team.
It was, I mean, like, and he was telling me like they were talking to like orgs and stuff already, right? Because
Yeah,
like all the orgs were, instantly trying to get involved.
yeah, of course.
So I was like, okay, like if those opportunities are already there, like why shouldn't I switch? Like that was, I'm not like I don't even enjoy CS anymore. I think it's too late
Mm,
for me to go pro in it. Plus, it's harder. It's harder than it's ever been. That was like the time where I started to quit was like when it became almost impossible for like North American Counter Strike players to even go professional on a North American team.
right, it was just because of
It's like
like, the
one,
ESL,
yeah,
however they had the
yeah, yeah,
formats,
yeah.
right?
The format was messed up, and then orgs were leaving. So it's like nobody
Yeah,
was making any money. Only maybe one person a year would even go pro on like on a good enough team. And I was just like, I was like, I have all the reasons to just stop playing, and I already was like done playing anyway. So, and then yeah, and I just started playing Valorant, and then They made good changes after beta. I feel like they made a lot of good changes,
Mhm.
especially in, like, gunplay and other things. I remember how ridiculous, like, the running and shooting was for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
Um, like, a
Yeah.
really long time, and I was like, "Damn, this kinda sucks," but it grew on me, and then, I do enjoy the game a lot. I feel like I enjoy competing is, like, the essential part. Like, I love competing and
Yeah.
being in competition.
That's just what you've done your whole life,
For the most part.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's like what I grew into loving, with CS, and it's essentially the same kinda game. Like, I don't care what game I'm playing. Like, if I had the choice, like, I could go play League in like, if I was good at that, obviously, like, I would love to compete in, like, League or, like, another game, but this is just what I'm good at, right?
Yeah. That makes sense. Did you within competing in the game, did you, were you IGLing all the time in CS as well? Is that just something that you had always done, or is that a role you kinda grew into?
It's a role I grew into. I think we didn't I was on there was a team called Vireo Pro with Floppy,
Yeah.
and we didn't have an IGL. And I just said I would do it, and that's when I started. I wasn't that good at it, but I think I understood good fundamentals in terms of like a lot of CS players think about rotations and how people will rotate based on like you doing certain things, and that's like I feel like I had a good understanding of that and how people thought of like the game, and I was pretty good at like clutching out scenarios. So it's like I felt like I had a good read on how other people thought. So that's kind of why I kind of took up that position.
Do you have, like, do you feel like you have kinda like how you say, like, a leadership kind of mentality, or is that something you gravitate towards naturally, or is, like, that aspect of being the in-game leader, is that also something you kinda grew into, more of the personal
It's
aspect of it?
something I grew into. I was never like a leader personality ever in my entire life. I hated it, to be honest. Um, but I feel like if it's just like if it's something I have to do, like I'll do it, and that's just how it happened.
Yeah.
And then like eventually the same thing happened in Valorant. Like I wasn't calling all the time in Valorant. Um, like on my first team mix up, like I wasn't the caller for a long time, and then I eventually became the caller. And then same thing with Luminosity I was, SoaR I wasn't until Xander left because he was already the caller and I joined his team and like I didn't want to like mess up his team dynamic or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's just like something I'll do it if I have to. And now I enjoy doing it more than I used to. Um, yeah, definitely grew into it.
Yeah, when you guys were when did you get, signed by LG? When did that
It was
happen?
like August of whenever the game came
It
out,
was like 2020 then, right? Because yeah, it was
2020.
2021 at the beginning of the year that you guys beat Sentinels in the
Yeah,
one
so yeah,
tournament.
August 2020
Yeah.
and September 2020, like somewhere in there, is when we got signed. Uh, yeah, I mean, we would have had a good team. Like, all right, I think I could like talk about this. Our team management forced us to play with a player, K Syaz, which is not how you pronounce his actual name, but that's just how it's spelled. Forced us to play with him, forced us to not play with Physic because we were picking up Venerated. At the time, I know, long time ago.
It's ancient history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lore, insane lore. Um, but yeah, it turned out like we were playing really good with like Venerated and Fizz, and then like one day they're like, "Yep, he's gone. Sorry, Physic benched, done." And then eventually we cut that guy, and then we picked up Dre and Moose.
Right. And that's when things really took off with the team,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for a very short period of time. Yeah,
It was
it
a
was very. It
short
was
but
like two
very
months.
fast ascension to the top
Yes.
where you were, yeah, at the top of the power rankings and the tier
I
lists.
don't know
And
how.
well, I mean, you beat Sentinels in the first tournament of the year.
Yeah,
They
we
were the
beat
best
Sun.
team
We've
at the
been
time.
Sun what, 2 times,
Or
maybe
yeah,
three.
maybe yeah, it was a couple times
We
actually,
beat them
wasn't it?
3-2, 2-0, and then I think we lost them like 1-2, like twice, and then we beat Envy in like a seeding match like once, like 2-0, and we beat like every other top team at the time, and then we like the
Yeah.
team died.
So where were I mean, what was I guess life for you like at that point, and just kind of your where was your mental at? Where you not long before that you were not even interested in Valorant, and then you're now signed to LG. You just beat the best team in the game at the moment.
Yeah.
You're like
I
on
needed a
top
raise. That's what I needed, and I went straight for one.
from
Swear
LG.
to God. Yeah. As soon as we like started to beat a bunch of those like
Yeah.
teams, I was like, I need more money, like 100%.
And what was their reaction to I need more money 100%?
Gave me more money.
Really?
Swear to God. Well, I mean, like obviously I didn't word like the wording didn't exactly go.
I mean, yeah, if you worded
go
it like that, that'd be nuts. But
yeah, but I mean, like I went to
tactics.
the owner and I basically said it's time to stop fucking around with us because like I was getting underpaid like heavily.
Yeah.
Our team wasn't great, so like at first, so like I think I was making the appropriate amount for a very long time. But then I saw how much all these other teams were making at the time, and we were beating them like for a month consistently. So I was like, I don't think I deserve like X amount anymore. I think it should go up a little bit. And then they offered me more than I even would have asked for. So
can't hurt to ask, I
guess. I can't argue with that.
Storm into the LG offices demanding a raise.
Kick their door down. I was like, hey, I need more now.
So I mean, then after, okay, so you get a raise. You're beating all the top teams, and then
I get benched.
You got benched, and things went pretty wrong with the team for the next couple months. And if I remember correctly, too, actually, I remember there was a period of time then that as a viewer and a pundit, whatever, like when we were trying to talk about your team and what was going on, you guys were never on stream. So there was no public idea as to what was going wrong with the team. Definitely not what was going wrong in game. Literally couldn't watch the games when you guys were struggling to make some of the qualifiers, whatever. They just weren't streaming your qualifier games. And then just kind of behind the scenes, it just fell apart. And we were kind of just left without any information there. So can you kind of illuminate the audience as to like what was the downfall there?
Yeah, there's a lot of not a lot, but there was some clashing personalities internally, and that led to very, very bad practice, and we weren't really getting much done. And then I think that led to a lot of bad performances just based off that alone. And then I guess our team, well, they decided to bench, like the other people decided to bench Brady and I. And that's it. Like I didn't have a say in it.
Yeah.
And neither did he. And that was it. We're done.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. I think our manager, like I don't know, horrible manager. I don't even care if I say it. Terrible manager. Also was like in on it. And I was just like didn't even want to like listen to what we had to say, which was crazy. But I mean luckily I had, I was still contracted. They still let me live in the house that we were living in currently, which was very nice of them. Charlie Yang came in like halfway through that, and he's super generous and allowed us to stay and worked on our salaries and things for us like while we were on the bench. So shout out to Charlie for that. Always appreciate him. I mean internally just not bad blood, but just things didn't work personality wise between a few people.
Is there anything you could take away from that situation that you felt like you could improve on as a teammate or just in general?
I mean some of it was out of my control. I think some of it I definitely could have handled things better. Like I talked about how I get frustrated sometimes. Like I wasn't great at handling it before, which did not help, I'm assuming. And I mean, that's like the only thing I could really take away. Maybe the way I talk to people sometimes. I'm pretty stern when I talk to people, especially when I want things to like be done or like done a certain way. Like I'll be really stern about it. I'll be really picky about it too. So those are some of the things I kind of learned from that whole ordeal.
Yeah. So after that, then you're still on LG getting paid for a bit, and then you eventually move over to SoaR, or I can't remember if there was like some unsigned teams between then, or just like some mixes.
I was playing like one-off tournaments with just like friends here and there, just like playing, getting into like different roles. Like I started playing Sentinel finally, just because I thought I could be good at it.
Right.
because it like fit how I like to play the game. And then eventually that led me getting onto SoaR, because they needed a Sentinel player, and it
Yeah.
just kind of fit.
Even though LG did like the right things after with still supporting and that kind of thing, did you just feel boomed at that point that was uh, up until that point that was the most success you had found, and then in
Yeah.
short form, like in a short period of time after hitting the top at the right at the beginning of the year, you're benched. Did you feel? Yeah, I mean, did you feel kind of mentally crushed? But also, then how do you just have the composure to then, in a way, kind of swallow your pride and just go and start playing in tier two?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the big mistakes that people make when they get benched is like they don't play the game. Is like you've seen it with a few people. Um, I don't want to like throw people under the bus. Actually, I can. Like Drone was one of them. Luckily, he's back on a pro team now.
Yeah,
But for a long time, you did not see him play after he was gone from TSM, and it's like people literally forgot about him. And like I didn't want that to happen to me. I saw that I wasn't getting offers within like a month or two from like anybody. So I was like, okay, I gotta do something. Which was basically just play the game as much as I could, get as much match experience as I can, play different roles if I have to. Um, and that's it. That was just the line of thinking I had, and then I guess it just paid off. Well, like, I mean, I got on SoaR, like the big payoff, I know. But it did pay off. I got on SoaR luckily, and they were a paid team at the
yeah,
time, so I could continue doing what I like to do.
and that is, I mean, I commend the like the discipline and the composure in that you're just immediately bouncing back, playing with SoaR. I mean, also again, this is like 7 years into competing. You just had kind of
It's the most money I've ever
your
seen.
biggest break, and then
Yeah,
you're back down, knocked down a bit. So now you're playing with SoaR. That team is doing really well in tier two. I mean, you have Cryo and Xander on your team
yeah.
who started. I mean, that was like
It was me, Kruz, Xander, Fizz. Well, it was Bossy for a while, and then it was me,
right.
and then Fizzik joined, or was about to, and then they both left.
Yeah, I mean
They both abandoned me.
that's just a nasty tier two team, tier two. But at the time, then I remember as well, like Xander and Cryo were generating a ton of hype throughout the summer. You guys
Yeah.
playing all the like random tier two NSG tournaments, Knights tournaments, whatever,
Hmm.
winning a ton of those. Cryo's going crazy, playing Jet on every map. And then it gets around to the fall, and teams are now the top teams are figuring out what they want to do for the next year. Xander and Cryo, like hot prospects, both of them get bought out.
Yeah.
At that point, where are you at?
I was like, fuck. Like, I just came here. Like, I literally just joined, and I was like, damn, this team's like, we could actually be like, good. But obviously, I mean, what I told both of them is like if I was you, I'd literally leave if I got a V1 or exit offer, like 100%. I was like, don't even think twice about it. I was like, if you get the offers and you want to go play with them, go play with them, like 100%. I think they were already going to, but to like really hammer it in for them, I told them that. Um, Definitely like another kind of, I guess, dip in like, okay, like we had a good team, but luckily SoaR said they'll stick with me, which was very nice. And they said, okay, you can literally go build a team
Yeah,
and just do whatever. And I was still playing with Physic. Very, obviously he's like one of my best friends. And we picked up a few more people. Apathy, which is another very good friend of mine. Luckily, I was playing with my friends. The classic thing to do is like you
yeah.
just screw other people. Just go for your friends. It'll work better, I
A
promise.
little nepotism higher.
Yeah, doesn't matter to me. I mean, they were good players too on top of
Yeah,
it. So,
for sure.
and then who else do we have? Trying to think.
Vic.
Well, yeah, eventually found Vic,
Okay.
and then we had Trill.
Right. Right.
And Trill, a very good smokes player. And then we stumbled upon Vic. I remember Fly was like, you should just try him out. And I was like, all right, I guess we will. Instantly wanted to pick him up for one scrim is all it took. Literally one scrim. I watched him play for like half a scrim, and
And
I
we
was
were
like,
just
we need this kid right now.
immediately aware.
I was like, we
Yeah.
need him ASAP.
Yeah. He's
Um,
doing. Yeah. It's and he's
No,
leveled himself
I
up on
think
Shopify now.
yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, if we were, it's funny to think about because like I was like talking to Mike about it. I was like, if we were to ever get a sixth man, he's like the perfect person for like a sixth man that could also just play. Like he could just play in franchising right now. He could play every role. Um, Not to gas him up on this podcast, but
Yeah,
I just did.
yeah, that's fine.
It's just too late. It's just
No,
way too late. He's
I
one of my
thought I
favorite
saw he was
players.
really good too. Listen, I watched every VOD that ever existed of
I
you
was like,
playing
you
Valorant.
watch. I was gonna say you watched it a lot.
I have watched every VOD of you playing this game.
Yeah.
So I saw Vic as well. I'm like, dude, that guy's, at the time,
He's
I was like,
nuts.
he's not consistent enough yet, but I can see
What
the
he- yeah.
potential. Same thing I was kind of saying, I thought with Epathy. I'm like, he's not consistent
Yeah.
enough yet, but I see the
He
potential.
had a lot of small things that I feel like I kind of helped with him. Like he's a player that will literally just go if I tell him to go.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I loved about him because he would entry, and I knew we had good enough players to where even if he died, like it didn't make a difference. But like he'll just do it, and plus he had like his mechanical skills really good. I just need to make him more disciplined.
Yeah,
Just the classic
definitely.
tier 2 player
Dual
performance.
squad
Yeah.
running around just trying to frag.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I will say about watching all those games and watching you in particular. This is obviously when I was like doing scouting stuff for 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Mike, and we were thinking about who would work as like team needed a Sentinel, team needed an IGL, and then I started going through and looking at people, and I was like, dude, SoaR has really good stats. Like, I haven't really watched him in a while. Let me see what's up. And what I was blown away by in all of the games that I watched, and I think this kind of, and it makes sense talking about your career in its totality and how long you've been grinding and how you mentally approached this stuff. I felt like watching your games, I saw something that you don't often see in the tier 2 scene, which is someone who is playing with discipline all of the time. I felt like you were never, it's like a trap I see a lot of players in that tier fall into is if they feel like they're good, too good for the tier, or they've been higher up in the scene, like you have, a lot of times going down, they don't play with the discipline that they should. They play like they're too good for it. They're sloppy. They make mistakes. They go for silly plays. There's some kind of ego attached to it, feeling like they don't belong there. And I felt like I could see when I was watching you that you like played with a humble style. You did not let your position affect how you were going to approach the game. And I felt like I saw that in every game, no matter what tournament it was. Like if he was playing with SoaR, if he was playing, you were like playing with random pug teams at NSG lands. Like I felt like I always saw that. Is that something that you intentionally approached the game with? Is that just something that's like baked into you as a person, that's just how you're going to approach things with that humble, disciplined mentality?
Yeah, I don't know if it's humble. I just like to win. Like that's like
Yeah, sure.
that's the biggest motivating
yeah.
factor for how I like to play the game. Is like I care more about winning than like I could be playing great and like I would still like to like if I know I could take a duel. I mean, maybe I would, depends on the situation. But like if I know I could win a round from not taking a duel, I won't. I'll never do it. Even if I'm like 30-10.
Yeah, that's
Like I don't,
Okay,
I don't
mean,
care. I just like I'd
that
rather
also
win.
very much so makes sense. But a lot of people, I think a lot of people struggle with that. They want to take the extra duel. They want
I don't
to
blame
get
them.
the extra kill. And
I don't blame a lot of people because a lot of people need to get noticed. And I mean, I was playing good at the time, and I think I credit a lot of that not just because of the teammates I was with. I was with a lot of my good friends.
Yeah.
But I was able to put myself in like a state, like a mental state where it's like I told myself if I'm not carrying the team, I'm never gonna win a game. And I feel like that's why I played a lot better. Probably. Plus, I wasn't playing the greatest of opponents. No offense to anybody I played, but I played better people now.
Sure.
But it's like when you're on a team and like, or like you tell yourself you have to carry, it's like you play way different, like way different.
Mm.
And that's probably why I was playing like that at the time. And now I'm on a team where I don't need to carry, so I just do my job. That's
Yeah.
it. And then, bang, go carry. Bang, take us to Tokyo, as Derek would say. He just keeps saying it. He won't stop saying it.
Yeah, he does. He is definitely very talented. He's been doing extremely well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's just, I guess that just goes back to what we spoke about with the competitive nature, kind of within you, right?
Yeah.
Just the desire to win
Yeah,
above
I hate
all.
losing more than I like winning. That's
Mm.
just how I describe myself to probably anybody now. Um, like, I don't know. I mean, that's it. Like, I'll be more upset about getting, like, I don't know. Like, I'd probably like the emotional level of me placing like lower than I think we should versus like winning a tournament is probably like higher on the losing end.
Yeah,
Like, I'd be more upset over like if I won like lock in. Like, I'd be ecstatic. Like, I'll still be happy, but like imagine we went out to like EDG first round or like second round. Like, not saying, obviously they're a very good team, not underestimating a single opponent we play. They're very good. But, regardless, I set certain standards for us. Yeah, I think the emotional, like, losing would always be up here, winning is always going to be a lot lower.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's funny. That's just like that is such a like a classic kind of sports
Yeah.
mentality to have. Is that do you feel like you've picked up stuff like that from like earlier in your life playing sports, or like the influence of like your dad in your life, or like
I don't know. I was just
um
a sore loser, like,
yeah.
for a long time. Yeah. I mean, like, I knew, like, when I played soccer, like, even in practice when we were doing, like, just like 6-on-6 or like 5-on-5s or whatever it might be, like, I was a sore loser. Like, I hated losing even those. And like, I didn't really like think of it at the time,
Yeah.
like that whatsoever. But like, it kind of when it clicked, when I was playing Counter Strike, I was like, I didn't realize how like, competitive I actually am until I started playing that. Because then you kind of notice like, okay, it's kind of like an addiction where it's like you want to be the best or you want to be the most winning, and you won't take losing like ever. And that's why I'm 26 now. I'll be 27 in July. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon unless I'm forced to.
You're trying to be
Um,
like the next Angel, the
Angel, I'll
IGLing
be
at
Forest.
34, whatever.
I'll literally become Forest if I have to.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like, yeah, I mean, that speaks also why, like, as you get older, like, obviously more responsibilities come in. People play the game less. That's why I feel like you could play the game until you're probably like mid 30s and you'll be fine. But you're sacrificing like everything about life for playing a game. Like,
Yeah.
probably not worth
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, that is what you're doing right now. I
at the
mean,
moment. Yeah.
it
I have
yeah.
a pretty good balance though. I think I'm doing a good job balancing. Like, it's not the only thing I'm doing. I try to go out on the weekends. Like, here
Mm.
we are, right? Um, I try to do things other than Valorant or playing games as much as I can, while still trying to maintain like a certain level of mechanical play and versatility, and making sure I don't fall off.
Yeah. And like you said as well, I mean, just yeah, being out here in LA, you're going to be here for who knows how long, but that's also you're
Yeah.
away from like yeah, you have a relationship, right? You have a
Yes.
back in
I have a relationship for it's gonna be 4 years in March
yeah, damn, and that's like she's back
in Maryland.
in
Yeah.
Maryland, and your family's in Maryland too, right?
New Jersey. Yeah.
Or
The same
Jersey,
same area.
yeah.
It's all the same.
Because it just at least from like from the outside and like seeing your dad posting on Reddit and that kind of thing is like it seems like you
He's gotta stop.
have
Like,
it seems like you have a very supportive family. Or it's like I guess easy to imagine where you're like a family oriented guy and you care
I'm
about
not.
really
That's the worst part. Yeah.
yeah
No, I was they weren't supportive at first, is like the thing. Until they realized that like it could be a potential career. Um, but I always made sure I was doing something on the side.
mm,
But I mean, I think at first I wasn't big on family, especially in like late high school, like rebellious phase, I guess. Like, and in college, but now I think being away from them more, it's like you kind of realize that you're missing a lot of things, and you know, you appreciate them a lot more now that, or I do now that I'm away and whatnot. And yeah, luckily I'm very lucky to have them be so supportive, and my girlfriend be really supportive. Even like my uncles and aunts, like everybody, literally everybody in my family now just like knows what I do because my
Yeah.
dad loves just talking about it. So like anytime, yeah, anytime at holidays, it's all I have to ask, what like answer questions about is
Yeah.
is what I'm doing in games and whatnot. They all watch too. Like a lot of people watch in my family, which
They
is
got the
really
watch
cool.
party going?
Yeah, like they throw it on, I guess, whenever I'm at events,
That's very
because
cool.
they talk about it. Yeah.
How did that feel then to win the biggest tournament of your career, at least so far, at Red Bull with your dad there?
I mean, it felt great. I mean, I didn't even realize they were gonna be there until like probably like 2 weeks before we left. My dad was like, "Oh yeah, I got tickets," and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Why would you even like midwinter? You want to go to England? Nice, like enjoy that." Uh, no, I mean it was cool. It was cool to see them there. Um, you know, obviously I haven't been to an event before, so I think they also had a good time. I think it was a good experience because they also met like a lot of people, like a lot of the fans that also talked to me. They like knew my dad, and I was just like, bro, like I saw my dad's signature on a guy's keyboard. I was like, bro, what is
Man,
going on
I
here?
didn't know you had the fame
Yeah,
like that.
The
Signed a
Jimmy Mac
keyboard.
signature. But no, it was definitely really cool. I think my dad might be here for one of our regular split games, maybe the first one. I know he wants to come, so you might even see him. Who knows?
Nice. Yeah, it's possible. Um, yeah. So like, so okay. So you don't want to retire. You want to keep playing for as long as possible,
Within
just
reason.
within reason.
Yeah. Until
Um,
I'm satisfied. You know, maybe if I win like for the next like 2 years, like I have
two
like a
years
bunch of
straight of
wins.
winning.
Yeah, just 2 whole years of
Do you
winning.
think you're gonna
Oh.
ever retire if you don't take down a major title,
Um,
or do you think you'd retire and just be thinking about it forever?
I'd be pretty upset if I don't win like anything big, because that's like, I don't know. I feel like it'd almost be a waste of time at that point. You know what
Mm,
I mean?
yeah,
'Cause like, that's
just
the
in it
reason
more
I'm
for the
playing. Yeah.
in it more
Just
for the
leave a lot left to desire.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I take it year by year. So, you know, obviously, if something comes up that's, you know, I need to retire or like stop playing for an extended period of time, then so be it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Do you I mean, I get you've done it so many times, and I don't want to. This is like not to have like a foreboding question or something, but like if this 100 Thieves project fell apart or something, do you just feel ready to? That's not that that's fine, but take the hit on the chin and just keep it pushing, get back to work, and try and make the next thing happen.
Yeah. I would literally, if they told me tomorrow that I'm done with the team, I would just keep playing. I would literally just, I'd play and look for another team.
Do you like kind of have any idea or like see what you I guess what you want like past all this, like what like how like what I guess what are you trying to get to when this chapter of competing and everything
Yeah,
ends,
I just,
or is it just you're just so lost in this
I,
experience now and so focused on
yeah,
the
it's
goal at
weird. No,
hand?
esports is weird like that because like nobody thinks of down the line ever. Like
And it's so volatile.
you can't think past like the next event or the next two events. You can't plan for your life ahead or anything in that aspect. Um, I don't know. I just want to just live like I guess a normal life after. Like I think I'll always be playing games, but I want to get to a point eventually where it's like I don't necessarily have to. Which sounds kind of depressing because like have to is like a big word. It sounds like an actual addiction, which it might be. I don't know. Like who knows? But no, I always joke around with my team. I'm like, I can't wait to just like retire and play golf every day. Golf in Florida
Are you
or like the
golfing with Mike out here?
Bahamas. Yeah, maybe. Me and Mike might go have to take a golf trip one day. But no, I mean, realistically, I would love to do that. Just like be an old man and retire at like 30 something. Just play golf every day. That'd be great. Probably unrealistic, but
I mean,
depends how much I win.
yeah, I suppose it
We'll
depends on
see.
how much work you can get done
We'll see. Yeah,
in in
yeah, we'll see.
in the coming couple of years. Um, yeah, it is just such an unbelievably volatile space, though. So I think it's interesting, but so difficult to plan, even for the short term future. Really, at times, because you never know when you have to do something like you've done here, like have to move across the
Yeah,
country, adjust how you're living your day to day life.
yeah. My,
Pretty
my girlfriend asks me
significantly.
all the time. She's like, "When do you have your break or like a break?" I'm like, "I can't even tell you when I have a break in like the next 2 months." Like, I was like, "I
Yeah,
don't even know if I have a break in like 3 months, 4 months, five. Like, I can't think of a single time." Because like as soon as we get back, assuming we don't like instantly lose in Brazil, right? Like, it's gonna be what 2 weeks before the regular split. What am I gonna do? Take 2 days off?
yeah,
Like that. That's it. That's all we could really take off. And then after regular split, then like how much time do we have? Is there playoffs for that? Probably, right? Or there might be. Like I don't know how the format. I genuinely don't pay attention. But and then Tokyo is probably soon, so it's like I can't really take a break before a big tournament if we qualify.
yeah, yeah,
It's like it all depend. It depend. Like it always depends. That's what I hate about the esports schedule. Is like it's like you never know, and it always depends, right? And that's it. Those are the only two answers I could ever give people, unfortunately.
yeah. What do you think has been the key for you to being able to manage your life during periods of time like this?
I mean, we have a pretty set schedule. Um, I think just trying to keep myself mentally sound is always good. Always be honest with myself. Is very important to me, right? If I know I'm having a bad day, then I don't try to I'm not gonna tell myself it's okay, right? Pretty rare, but like I think we have a good schedule, a good set schedule right now. So it's like we're in a good rhythm, or it's like easy for me to get into a good rhythm and then have Saturday, Sunday off. Where it's like I get to decompress and do other things. And then no, I have to work again. It's not that bad for me because I've already done it, right? I've done it. I did it for like 3 years where I'd have to go into an office and go work in a cubicle. Now it's like I'm actually doing something I enjoy. So it's really not that hard. But like imagine coming to like work and you fucking hate what you're doing. Like you said you've
Oh
done
yeah.
it. Like
Oh, I don't have to imagine.
it's not
Yeah,
fun. It
no,
is
that
not
is.
fun, and you don't really have a choice because it makes your money and all these things. But now it's like I mean it's a lot easier now, for sure.
Yeah, and is that? I mean, I can only imagine, but it's like, is that how? Do you like wake up on those weekdays just feeling the passion every day,
It's just
basically? Or
not always.
yeah,
It's just usually it's like okay, it's like another day. Like let's make sure we make it a good day. Um, And that's it. Like, I don't like, I'm not obviously, I don't love like, sometimes, like, we have a very long period of time where we're only practicing, and, like, then at, like, this period of time where it's like, okay, it's like you're building up to a tournament, it's a lot more meaningful not meaningful, but you could kinda feel it a bit more where it feels more meaningful versus, like, you're 2 months out, 1 month out from, like, a tournament, it's like, "Bro, we don't even play anytime soon," we're just coming into work every day, right? Um,
right. But
doing the same
when you have
things.
yeah, like a near future goal to
Yeah,
to a- to attain.
then it definitely ramps up and it becomes a lot more, a little more exciting for
Yeah,
sure.
like when you're talking, like what you said earlier about the desire to not lose being stronger than the desire to win. Um, how does how do those emotions kind of differ from, say like playing a weekly tournament with SoaR to playing like lock in and everything between? Is there a massive difference in how you feel after these events, or have you kind of got to this place where it is
Yeah.
this same desire and will to try to not lose no matter what the situation is, no matter how many people are watching, no matter how much prize money there is. Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, the only difference is, like, status, in my opinion. It's like, I feel the same way. If I'm disappointed, I'm gonna be disappointed in performance, whether it's team performance, personal performance, placing. Like, if I feel that the team I'm on should be doing better or can be doing better, that's it, right? I don't care about whether like who I'm playing, who I'm playing against. Like, so I remember, obviously when I was on SoaR, we beat 100T, right?
yeah,
And like I knew we could. I mean, we got like absolutely like our asses kicked by them in scrims the day before on the same maps, which was like really funny.
really,
Yeah, it was the exact
yeah,
same two maps. Um, and then we beat them, which is funny. But then we lost to Gen G, and I was pissed because I was like, we should have beat them like 100% in my mind, right? Even though like people thought we were the underdogs. So that's the same way I feel across the board, regardless of the team I'm on. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just status, right? In terms of like tournament, like whether it's a bigger tournament, more money, better teams, like at the end of the day, my emotions are still relatively consistent. But yeah, it's just like it's just the tournaments are either bigger or smaller.
did you feel, or rather, do you feel that emotional consistency as well when it comes to like the status and the additional pressure of being on one of the top teams in regards to like 100 Thieves being one of the most well-known brands in the space, like the elevation of attention that is being placed on you, the scrutiny over mistakes that wasn't there when you were playing on SoaR. If you missed a shot on
Yeah,
a round, realistically, it's not a lot of people were watching,
yeah,
but there's
nobody
a
cares.
huge difference. I mean, can you keep the emotional consistency there?
Um, yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think it's hard to. Sometimes it is hard to ignore something like that. I think that just goes for any team in the top. Like I'd say any team at the lock-in, right, or even at the top, regardless of the organization you're on. Like nothing goes without a community worth of people scrutinizing and taking opinions on like the things you're doing. Um, So obviously, that could feed into things sometimes. Like after, I would say it's more like after. Like I don't put pressure on myself before. Like I hope I don't whiff like here or there. But like after, I'm like, oh, like I'll probably get like fucking people comment about it. Like it's whatever. But I think at first when I joined 100T, I knew it was gonna ramp up like a lot more, just based on like fan base and who's watching, and people do care a lot about like their team losing or winning. Um, and I kind of just accepted it for what it was.
Yeah. Did it affect you a little bit more at first, or has it just been you feel like you've been able to just manage it?
Um, yeah, I'd say at first a little bit. But then I don't know, I kind of just accepted it for what it was.
Yeah.
Like I kind of knew it was gonna happen. Um, and it's just like is what it is, right? I
Yeah.
can't do anything about it
For
other
sure.
than like obviously like yeah, I could play better like all the time. But
Yeah.
like even people that are playing great still get
Yeah, I
shit all
mean,
the time. It's like it
it's
doesn't
just inevitable.
it's like it's bound to happen. Nothing you could do about it.
Yeah, for sure. I like well, before the cameras were rolling, you were joking about like basically just like laughing at
Oh
like the
yeah.
messages and like the
No,
shit
I
that people
literally
say,
yeah, Reddit
um,
and VLR, I literally look up my name sometimes and
which
then
is psycho behavior. But
laugh at people that are making comments or threads about me. Like I will literally go and read them, look at their name, and I'll just be like, damn, this dude's a fucking idiot. And just start
which is
laughing.
just so
Uh,
it's I mean, that's just really funny because that is just the opposite mentality of most of the people that are doing that are just really being they're really taking a lot of effect to what is being said. They are genuinely,
yeah.
whether being affected by it in a significant way. So just being able to, the fact that I mean, it's one thing to see it and laugh at it, but also just
No, I
like
look it up
seeking it out
sometimes.
and laughing at it
Yeah, no, I do
is
sometimes.
really funny. I mean,
I think if I was in high school, I'd care a lot more. I used to care a lot about what other people thought.
yeah,
And I don't know what happened to me, but I just do not care anymore. I really just don't.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean,
and
I
that's just
definitely
it's just how it is.
definitely have had the same experience myself of yeah, I don't even know. I don't think it was. I couldn't even point to like a turning
I have
point or a
no idea.
thing. It's just
I
over
just stopped.
time.
Like, I had, like,
Yeah.
massive, like, social anxiety for, like, a long time, and then, like, I just, like, I remember before I'd, like, go, I'd, like, hang out with friends, I'd, like, care about what I'm wearing, and, like, it didn't matter, like, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? But, like, I'd worry
Yep.
about things, like, small stuff, or, like, I'd, like, make up, like, comments in my head or something about, like, what people might say, and, like, it just like, I don't care. I just don't care anymore. I really don't about what other people think or say, whether you're on VLR, Reddit, whether you're DMing me on Twitter. I don't care. I really don't.
Yeah. Do you think that? Do you think the internet and its ruthlessness kind of pushed you to or fortified that kind of feeling in a way? Sometimes I think about that, like
Oh, it's you kind of like become like numb to it, where it's like you just see it or like immune almost, where you,
in a
in a sense.
way, yeah. It's not as yeah. may- Maybe immune or numb to some extent. Like in my personal experience, what I think about is like back when I was like 17, 18, and I was competing in Team Fortress 2 at
Yeah,
the ESEA lands.
yeah,
Um, and I was streaming on Twitch, and I was like, for the time, it was like pretty good viewership, getting like 400 viewers on Twitch
that's good.
way
That's good
back
at the
then.
time.
But holy shit, was the harassment then just I get. I mean, I if I stream like a Valorant watch party or something, and now and with everything I'm doing, I have way more viewers than I did then, and I get a a tiny fraction of the shit I got back then.
That's
And
wild.
I mean, it's just how the internet's
Oh yeah,
changed, you know. And I mean, I'm sure you experienced the same thing in the time in CS:GO.
yeah,
But
definitely.
I think about that sometimes and how much that really affected me at the time, and I just yeah, think about I don't know if I don't know if it necessarily numbed me or made me immune to it, or if it just put me in such a pressured situation that I had to learn how to
Just stop.
adapt and just feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure if you experienced something of a similar extent to CS, thinking about just how much the gaming like scene has changed and how people behave. Not that it's like some
I mean,
great space now.
it's
It is
definitely
definitely
it's
still.
definitely a lot different. It's not great.
It's definitely not great.
It's definitely not
It has
ESCA in
improved.
2015. I
Yeah,
promise you that, or
yeah,
2016 for that matter. I promise you, those were ruthless times.
absolutely.
And they would not fly nowadays whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the internet's really done that for me specifically. I haven't even like thought about it. Yeah, it just kind of like happens. I just like in the back of my mind, I'm like, when it comes to at least competing, when it comes to my mind, it's like the only people I'll ever take opinions from are people that I respect, and that's it. Like if I don't know
Yeah,
you and I think you're either shit at the game or whatever the case might be, like I don't like you could say anything to me and I will not even think twice about it.
yeah. I mean, that is a strong mentality
Yeah,
to
it's a
possess.
little it might be a
I mean,
little on the far end of it, but I mean that's just how I am.
yeah, when you get to the point where you're laughing at all the stuff, I mean, that's kind of
Yeah, I mean, like they're
the
probably
end
in what
game of
like
it, right?
gold, maybe silver, probably like what people are saying stuff about gameplay. It's just
Yep,
funny,
yep.
so funny.
Plat Chat podcast, bunch of
Yeah.
plats talking trash.
Yeah, Ball,
Um,
listen, Ball, if you're listening, and you better work on those opinions, buddy. You got some interesting opinions on the plat chat. Let me tell you,
Bala does get a
that's
lot of shit, but what's funny too is because he's actually really good. Like he's
oh,
way better than any of us at the game. Like way, way better. He's legitimately very
he
good.
watches a lot of Valorant. To
But
be fair, I know he does.
yeah, no,
I've heard some interesting opinions about my team from him specifically.
he
He better watch himself, at least on the early end.
he
Not
definitely
recently, but like back when we first formed, I thought he had a lot of funny opinions.
yeah he definitely brings out the hot takes.
Yeah, no, for
But
sure.
um yeah, man, I guess to kind of cap it off, like if you can kind of try and take everything in totality from the beginning of this esports career you've had till now, I guess what are the most significant points of growth for you?
Hmm, that's tough. Well, I think the significant points would probably be all the low points. So I think when I first made Premiere, it took me a year. It took me 1 year, which is very fast to get into a semi-professional level. From just getting my PC to when I became like a
Yeah.
semi-professional, it took me about a year. Not a lot of people do that. And then I realized how bad I was. Like that was probably the first time. Um, the next time would probably be just I don't know, somewhere later down. I got fourth place in like Premiere twice, which was pretty devastating because I thought I could do better, and then I got no professional interest whatsoever. That was definitely a low career, and then obviously I think the other one would just be when I was working with my dad at a cabinet store was probably the next one. I think all those just mentally put me into a place where hopefully my trajectory could keep going upwards and has led me here today.
And like, I guess specifically, like, what do you feel like are the key points that you learned from all of those kind of like crucial beats in the story?
Um, yeah. I mean, it's mainly just experience thing, and then a lot of it had to do with like mentality, um, and just learning more about myself as like a competitor. I think, learning how good I actually was compared to other people, knowing flaws or like just being a good teammate. Like over time, like you learn how to be like a better teammate. Um, I never knew how competitive I really was until I don't know, like 2 years into playing Counter Strike. Like I was really passionate about like getting better, but then I didn't know how competitive I was for like a super long time. Um, and now I know. It's just the competition's what kind of drives me to do the things I do. And I mean, I don't think there's any specific like tournaments or matches or anything like that. That's really like made a big impact in my life. Obviously like 100T and going to champs was a pretty big realization that like, I could be way better and I could be at the top maybe one day. And if I keep working hard, then maybe me and my team could get there. And I mean, we're getting there, right? And it's like it's still going upwards as long as the trajectory is going up. That is all I care about. No plateauing, no going down. It could be a slow and steady, but as long as it's going up, that's my driving factor.
Yeah, man, that sounds good. I appreciate you joining for this
Yeah,
very much on short notice before you head out to the tournament. Um, and obviously, best of luck to you and the team. But yeah, man, that should do it. Thank you.
thank you so much for having me.
All right, should be all good.